Hi, I'm Angela, and today we're going to talk about some other major scales that use the same fingering as the C major scale. To be specific, we're going to be talking about the G, D, A, and E major scales. Believe it or not, all four of those use the same fingering as the C scale. So if you've got the C scale down pat, these next four, G, D, A, and E, are going to be pretty easy for you. So, as a reminder, the C scale in one octave is going to look like this. Hopefully, if you've seen the last lesson, you're already feeling strong and confident on that. If you're not, please don't try to learn these scales until you have become confident on the C major scale. Once you're there, here's what we do next, the G major scale. Now, I've told you that it uses the same fingering as the C scale, and that's absolutely true. But you'll notice that if you just start on G and play all the notes, there's a little bit of wonkiness that happens right there at the end. Do you hear that? That note's not quite right. Turns out that's because the G major scale does not use all white notes. G scale needs to add a sharp. The reason is because the major scale is built on a pattern of half steps and whole steps. Going back to the C scale, here's what that pattern looks like. From C to D, you can see that's a whole step. There's an extra note here that we're not using. So we have a whole step. Then going from the E to the F, that's a half step. Notice that there's no note in the middle. Then we have another whole step, and half step. The pattern for a major scale, not just the C major scale, but any major scale, is going to be whole, half, whole, half. Now if we look at our G major scale again, our wonky one, you'll notice the reason it sounds wonky is because it does not follow that pattern. It has whole, half, good so far, whole, half, whole. That is not quite right. So to correct it, we need to add a sharp on the F. And then all of a sudden, it sounds very nice. And that's because it's following that pattern, whole, half, whole, half. Every major scale in the world is going to follow that exact same pattern, all of them. And so for the key of G, once again, that means that we're going to have an F sharp in the scale. Now the next scale we're going to do is a D major scale. The D major scale uses two sharps. It keeps the F sharp that we gained on the G scale, but it also adds another one, a C sharp. So the key of D has two sharps, F sharp and C sharp. But you'll notice that other than the sharps, the fingering is the same as it was on C major. So just keep your eye on the sharps and you'll be good to go. Now, those of you who are pattern-minded might have noticed a pattern here. We started with a C. In C, there were no sharps. Next up, we did G. In G, there was one sharp. Next up, we did D. In D, there are two sharps. See the pattern? Goes from C to G to D. It's gaining a fifth every time. It's also gaining a sharp every time. And that means that the next scale we're going to play, can you guess what it is? It's A. And A is going to have three sharps. 0 sharps, 1 sharp, 2 sharps, 3 sharps. The other pattern is in which sharps we're adding. It's actually really cool and fascinating, I think. I'm a little bit of a geek that way, I suppose. But for the G scale, we had the F sharp is what we added. For the D scale, we added another sharp, the C sharp. Again, notice it's a fifth away. So can you guess what sharp we're going to add for the key of A? It's this one, the G sharp. So we're going to keep the F sharp, C sharp, and we're going to add G sharp for the key of A. So here's what that looks like. C sharp, F sharp, G sharp, and A. Again, same fingering as the key of C, but a lot more challenging as far as which sharps we're playing. All right, time to figure out the rest of the pattern. Key of C, remember, no sharps. Key of G, 1 sharp. Key of D, 2 sharps. Key of A, 3 sharps. What is next? It's E, 4 sharps. And the sharps that it's going to have are F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, and the last one, the new one, is D sharp. Fun fact, the last sharp that we add is always the next to last note of the scale. In the key of G, we added the F sharp. In the key of D, we added the C sharp. In the key of A, we added the G sharp. And now here in the key of E, we're going to add the D sharp. So key of D, 4 sharps, and they are F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, and D sharp. I think it's just so fascinating how all of this works together. I think it's beautiful. So here's how we play the E scale. Remember, it has an F sharp, a G sharp, a C sharp, and the D sharp. And once again, the same fingering as the C major scale. It's so cool how they build on each other like that, I think. So here's all of our major scales that we know so far. Remember, we have this pattern going in fifths from C to G to D to A to E. We call that the circle of fifths. It's not quite a circle yet at the moment, it's just part of a circle, but we're going to continue to build that circle until we come all the way back around to C later on in a different lesson. Here are our scales so far. We have C major, no sharps, no flats. Then we move to G major, 1 sharp, F sharp. Then we have D major, 2 sharps, F sharp, and C sharp. Then we have A major, 3 sharps, C sharp, F sharp, and G sharp. And lastly, we have E major with 4 sharps, F sharp, G sharp, C sharp, D sharp. And that's it for today. So we now know 5 scales, C, G, D, A, E, and how they're all related, why they have the sharps they have. Stay tuned. In our next lesson, we're going to learn 2 more white note scales, the F and B. They have a slightly different fingering though, which is why we're putting them in another lesson. For now, practice these 5. Make sure you're comfortable and confident with which ones have which sharps. And it can be really helpful to try to extend the pattern. Think about what key might be next. How many sharps would it have? What sharps would it have? And what about after that? What key is next after that? We can actually just keep going and going on this, and it's really cool. So, thanks. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.